Welcome CSE 103 to exercise 12 in our programming unit, which is going to be a Python turtle stop sign. If you thought drawing squares were fun, just wait till you draw a stop sign. This is an octagon. So let me show you the finished product of what it's going to look like, so it'll get you all excited about doing it. And I'm going to run it. And there it is. It draws a stop sign and it's red and it puts the word stop on there, and the turtle looks at it when it's finished in all its brilliance. So that's what we're going to do. So this won't be that hard. This will be a quick one. And what we'll do, since we just worked with a function on our previous exercise, we're going to make two functions. One that draws the stop sign, and then another function that writes the word stop on it. So it's not a lot of code. It's just using two functions and then two function calls. Remember, they go hand in hand, function definition and function call. They don't work without the function call down here. So we're just going to call the function to draw the sign and then write the word stop on there. So there'll be another method for write, which we haven't done yet. We're going to try to make the turtle that writes the word stop disappear, so you don't really see that turtle. So we'll only see the one turtle. Now, in this previous one, I had Tina and Todd. We don't have to do Tina and Todd. We could just do T and W or S for stop or whatever. It doesn't matter. We don't need names, but we'll just keep them as short as we can. And we'll start without a function, and then we'll put it inside a function, because that way we can test it first. So let's get started. I'm going to go to my repels, and I'm going to go into CSE 103, and I'm going to make a new repel. And I'll make sure that I choose Python with turtle, and then I'll give it a name here. I'll just call it 12 dash, and you don't have to put Python. I'll just put turtle stop sign. And again, I mentioned sometime putting your last name on there. If you forget to do that, that's okay. As long as you just send me the link, I'll find it. But sometimes if I'm pulling things into my account, it's easier with your last name. But if you did that, that's fine. It's not going to be a problem. I'll start off with, what else do we have to start off with but import turtle? So we have to start off with import turtle and lowercase, and you can't spell it wrong. And we'll make a new turtle. So we're going to call our turtle, how about S for stop sign? So we'll have one for S and one for write. That'll kind of make sense, I guess. So we'll just give it a name S. And we'll say equals turtle.turtle, so that will instantiate. And if you start to type and you're having trouble typing like I just was, if you click on something that you see, I don't know if I was seeing that last time, but now I am. And I'll put turtle. And here's the turtle class. Now I'm not seeing that, but there's the turtle from the turtle class, so that's the instance. And usually what we do is we give attributes or properties, either term's fine, but we're going to say s.color will make the turtle red to start. So we could just go in there and just use a standard red. And you could always type red and then double click on it and put the quotes after. That's what's nice about this IDE, that it'll do that for you. You don't have to put quotes around it. You could just highlight it and it'll put quotes around it. It knows that you want to do that. That's what an IDE does. And then we'll say s.shape. We'll keep it a turtle shape. So I'll put shape. You don't have to. But the other one we will not. When we write it, we will not. But I'll use turtle here. So I'll just put the two quotes this time and then type turtle inside there. And again, this turtle will not conflict with that turtle because it's a string. It has quotes around it. So it's a little bit different in here. So it's not the same thing. This is an instance or variable type name or module name. This is a string. All right, so now we're going to do our commands and we're going to make our stop sign. So this will be easy because we did this before, except we drew a box. This time we're going to draw a stop sign. It's just going to have more sides and a different angle. And the way you can figure this out is just divide 360 by the number of sides. If you're not sure, 360 divided by 8 equals 45. So we're going to use 45 as our degree when we go around. So you can put comments or you don't have to put comments because we're going to put this all in a function. So I'm going to start off with s.forward because we're going to make him go. And we're not going to put him on any different grid. We'll just start him at 0, 0. That's where it's starting, and we'll just start our stop sign from there. So we'll say s.forward, and we'll just do 50 this time because it'll be a little smaller because the angle's different. It's not going all the way across. It's kind of going across and then up. So it'll be a bigger shape than a square using a smaller length, if that makes any sense, because there's more sides going around. So we'll say forward 50, and after that I'll say s.left, and that's all we need really to draw a shape. Those are the only two commands we need, and it was 45 because we had to do, and I'll even put a note here, I'll do 360 degrees divided by 8 sides equals degrees. That kind of makes sense. So however many sides you have, and it was actually 8 in this situation, so I'll put that there just so we know that. Now what we're going to do next, if I just ran this to start, that's all we got. So he's starting to draw a stop sign. He's kind of on his way there. Now, a couple things we'll do. Remember, if we have to repeat this 8 times, we don't want to copy and paste this code 8 times. What we could do is use our for loop. We used that in our last exercise. So I'm just going to even just hit a return here, or hit enter, and then I'll put for I in range. Now, sometimes you might forget to put the I, or you put for in range or something. I messed that up too, but we're going to say for I in range. I is like this temporary variable that represents like the iterator. It kind of goes through the range, so it kind of counts using that. So it's kind of like a built-in variable for this loop. And I'll put range of 8 because that's the number of sides. So this is the number of sides. So I'll just throw that in there to help us figure out what we're doing here. Now remember, with a loop, we have to highlight these and put it in the loop. So this whole thing here, I'm just going to highlight and hit my tab key. And what did I forget? I forgot something. Can anybody tell me what I forgot? This thing. You got to put the colon there. That indicates that there's stuff following that's going to be indented. Same thing with our functions. We have to have that colon. So don't forget the colon in there. And then when we go back, we have to go back out to the margin because nothing else is going to be looped. So after we do this, well, let's try it out. Let's just run it and see what's going on here. There, we drew our stop sign. That wasn't hard. Now, after we're done, he's going to do a go to. So we could do s.pen up. Now, why am I doing that? Because I don't want him to draw a line. When he goes from here to here, I don't want him to draw a line. So we're going to put his pen up, and then we're going to do an s.goto. And he's going to go to, if remember, we're starting at 0, 0, we're going over 50. So what's half of 50? 25. So he's going to go x to 25, and then we're going to go down 25, because that's what we're doing for our boxes or our squares. So we're going to go over 25, down 25. So that means we're going to go 25, comma, negative 25. So he's going to go over 25 and down 25. And we're also going to turn them at the end. If you remember, we turned them at the end. We'll have to check our angle to make sure it works out okay. Well, he does end up like that. So 90 degrees should be fine. So sometimes if they end up at a different angle, if you turn them again, it won't work. But he's already facing that way, so 90 degrees would be up, and that's what we want. So we could put 90 in there. And again, we're not using variables because we're only doing this one time. And variables are not going to help us one time if we just have to change it. Whether you change the variable or do this, it's not a lot of code, and we're not doing this a whole bunch of times. So variables aren't going to help us right now. We're not going to be changing a lot of things. When you want to use variables, it usually means you're going to change things, but we're not changing things too much here, although we can. So let's just try this, see what's going on. You keep trying it as you go. So all that we have to do is fill it. And remember, when we fill it on either side of the creation of the shape, whether it's the square or whatever we're doing, we can fill it on either side. So I'm going to make a begin fill, and again, make sure you do s dot begin fill or T or whatever you're using for your name. You don't have to use S. If you want to use T, you can do that. And begin fill uses an underscore, and it does not take any arguments. And then we have to finish it up with end fill. And again, I'm going to do s dot end fill, and what you have to remember is what? What do I have to do here? I'm waiting. Yes, you have to outdent in here. That's not really a term, outdent, but you have to move it back to the margin. Actually, I'll show you one thing you could do. You could always highlight this, and if you do Shift Tab, that'll also kind of untab it. Or you could just kind of delete it back, but sometimes Shift Tab is a little bit easier. And so these will not be part of the loop. So the only thing that's part of the loop is that, and let's run it. And that's perfect. So we have the first part done. So that's pretty easy. And if we want to, we can just go here and make a function, and I'm going to define a function, and I'll move this so I can type this on its own line. And remember, it's just def. That means there's a function name coming. So we're defining a function, and we're just going to call it draw sign. And we're not going to put any arguments in here. And just like the loop, we have to put a colon at the end. And just like the loop also, we have to tab everything over. So I'll just highlight all of this and hit tab. Now, if you do this on another program, it might wipe out your code with the tab. But here, if you hit tab, it'll bump everything over because it's smart. It knows that it wants you to do that. So there's our function. And if we run it again, remember, nothing happens. Why? Because we didn't call the function. So we have to call the function. And the function has to get called outside the function definition, so don't leave it indented. Make sure you move down here, even move in an extra space just to separate it a little bit. And I'll just put a little comment down here, and I'll say function calls. We might have more than one. And I'm going to say function calls, and to call the function, you just do draw sign, And now it's coming up. I don't know, the last time I worked on this, I wasn't getting these little coding helpers here, but now I could click on draw sign. Now it doesn't put the parentheses, but I could do that. Now you don't need a colon here. You only need it when there's indented copy when you're defining it. There's no colon here. So now if I run it, the function call is the thing that's actually telling me to go and draw this thing. So that looks good. And now the next thing we're going to do, and we can make this a function right away, I guess. So I'm going to do this function right after that function, and then we'll just have two function calls. So I'm going to go here and then bump this out, and I'm going to make a new def, and I'll call it write stop. How about that? Write stop, because we're going to write the word stop. And I have to make sure I have my parentheses, and I have to make sure I make my colon. Now before I've always been doing this after the fact, but now I'm starting here. And the nice thing now, when I start to define a function with nothing in it, I can hit enter, and it'll already be indented for me. And what I'll do is I'll just copy these things, because that way I don't have to retype them. I'll just put them right here. Now I don't want them red, and it's not going to be turtle. So I think what I'll do here, we'll call this W. I'll make this guy W, and it's going to be a turtle, and the color is going to be white, because we're going to have white text on here. So I'll change that to be white, and watch this. If I do a pound sign F, 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 and if you want to do 6 of them like true hex, you could do that. That'll work too. You still have to put in quotes though. It's still considered a string, but you have to use the pound sign. That's hex. So if you guys remember that hex, all the F's are white. I'm sure you remember that. And then shape turtle. Now, if you're not sure about the shapes, you can go to this. I have this tab open, turtle graphics here. If you go down, and again, just search Python turtles and look for python.org, and you'll find this. And here's turtle things here, and I think they're going to have shape somewhere here near the top. Oh, here's appearance, shape. So I'll go to shape here, and it tells you the different shapes here. I believe, like I said, this thing isn't the easiest thing to read. I don't know if it's just me, but I have a hard time going through it. That things don't stick out real nice. But anyway, here they have arrow, turtle, circle, square, triangle, classic. Classic, I think, is a type of arrow. There's 2 types of arrows. They don't even show them here. I mean, you could try it out and, you know, see what it looks like, or use it on the other one. I don't know. Let's try them out, actually. But at least we see some here. But I'm either going to use arrow or classic, and let's just see what they are. I'm going to go here. Now, because I have a definition started, it shouldn't do anything because I'm not calling it, so it should ignore this. But let me go in here, and I'll just put classic. I just want to see what it looks like. So I'll just throw classic in here. And there's it's just a little arrow, and let's see what the difference of arrow is. Here's arrow, and it's a bigger arrow, so I guess just classic is fine. So I'll go back here and put this one on turtle. I'll keep this on turtle, and down on this one I'll put this one on classic. So we got a new one, and it's W, so make sure you change all the instance names here, because we're making a new turtle called W, and W is going to have a white color. He's going to be classic, and then what he's going to do, he's going to do a write method. So let's do that next, and we're going to do W dot, I think it's something called write with parentheses. Now if you're not sure how this thing works, and we're also going to have to do a go to, because we're going to have to tell him where to go to actually draw this, but let's just write something first and see what happens, because he'll start right here. He'll start here by default, so we could see it, and then we could kind of move from there. So let's go here and go up here, sorry about all that scrolling, and look for write method. I think it's down by the bottom, and here's a write method. And again, this isn't always the easiest thing to look at. You know, it's not very clear, but you can see it has a thing in here that says font equals, and then it has stuff in parentheses. So it has an extra set of parentheses inside the parentheses. So everything is in the write method. It says turtle.write, and then there's some arguments here, and you could align it, you could put in a font, but the first thing you could do, actually looking at this one is probably better. It says turtle.write, and then it has something in quotes. That's actually what's going to be written. So first you put the argument of what's going to be written. So you put the string here, and then you put a comma, and you don't have to put true or false. We'll just skip that. And we're not going to align it any special way. We'll just kind of move it where we want it. And then we're going to put in a font equals, and we're going to use impact, because that will look most like a stop sign font. And we could put a size. And impact is a font that doesn't really have like a bold. It's a naturally bold font, so we don't even have to put a style where they have normal here. So we'll just put like impact, and we'll put a size. So again, this isn't, you know, even though this is the official document, it's not always that helpful. So I'm going to write something here, and what we're going to write, this should be easy, it's going to be stop. So we know that, and then we just have to put a comma, because these are like arguments down here. And then we're going to say font equals. Now this is odd putting an equals inside a parentheses, and then we're putting another set of parentheses, but you just have to remember to do that. And we're going to put impact, and I think this goes in quotes too. Impact is a font that's a very like condensed font, very bold font, and that'll be good for a stop sign. It's called impact. And then after impact, we're just going to put like, I'll put like 30. And I don't think you have to put any pixels or points or anything like that. I think you just put 30, and just to double check, I'll look at this. And no, it just puts a size. I believe that's in pixels. So we're going to do that. We're not going to put a style because impact doesn't really need a style. So we'll do that, and I think we're okay. So we have this little right function here. Now we're going to have to do a goto to move it around. But before we do that, let's just call it and see what happens. Let's just do right stop, and I'll start to type it, and it's coming right up. And I have to just put my parentheses there. So now it's going to run this function, and then it's going to run that function right in a row. So let's see what happens here when we do this. And it's going to run W. Let's just check that everything's okay. And if we get an error, we get an error, and then we fix it. So there's the stop sign, and there's stop. So we're almost there. All we have to do now is just adjust where this starts. It's starting at 0, 0, so we're probably going to have to go negative a little. And I put 30. We'll probably have to make it a little bit bigger. Maybe I'll try at 40 and see what happens. But we'll change the start of this. And what you can actually do too, this is helpful. Even though we made this shape classic, you can actually do something called w.hideTurtle, because there's no point in even seeing the turtle if it's just writing the word stop. So I think we're going to do hide turtle. And again, if you're not sure, just go back to that area. You'll find it in invisibility. I think if you go up here, and again, you got to go up to the top, and they have something called visibility, and there's hide turtle. And that's all you have to do is just hide turtle. So we're going to hide the turtle because we don't need to see him. Now it'll still write our text, I believe, so we'll make sure it writes our text, but we don't need to actually see the turtle. And we also have to do a goto. So before he starts writing, we'll do a goto. So we'll do w.goto. And where are we going to go to? Well, this is 0, 0, so let's, and this is, well, I don't know, you'd have to do some geometry here to figure out where halfway over would be, but if you figure that's 50, it's probably not quite 50. It's probably like negative 30 or something. We'll try that first. We'll try negative 30. And that's the x. So that's going left and right, or east and west would be the x. So we'll try negative 30 and see where it starts. And I already made the size bigger at 40. And we'll move it up. So maybe it's about 30 up. We'll try that. And we'll just try it out. We'll just do kind of trial and error here as far as the goto. So let's try it out. And again, you need your function definition, and then call. So we're writing our call, and they have to match up. You can't spell them wrong. So let's run it. And that looks pretty good. We could probably go up and over a little bit. Maybe make the size just a little bigger, like 42. The left and right actually might be okay. I'll leave that alone. But going up, let me try like 32 to start. And I'll run it. And that looks pretty good. Now I'm seeing a line here. And I guess if I'm seeing a line, that's the pen. So even though we're hiding the turtle, it's still showing the line. So before he goes to that location, let's put a pen up. So we'll do w.penup, and that will make sure that we don't see that line there. And again, that's why we're trying this out. So that looks pretty good. And I mean, you could tweak it over a little. You could maybe go over to, it can maybe go up a little bit, I guess. I'd maybe go up to 34, and then maybe go over to like 32. And we'll try that. And that looks pretty good. And that's all you really need to do. So this is a pretty quick exercise. And one thing just to point out here, just you thought you'd get out of here really quick. One thing we'll just try, since we did it in the last exercise, is throwing in an argument. Let's say you wanted to make a stop sign that's all different colors, because who knows? Maybe they're going to change it from red. Maybe red's not a good color to see out in nature. Maybe you'd want a green stop sign. Think about that. You think a green stop sign would be easy to see by a bunch of trees? Probably not. But if you wanted to change the color of the stop sign, if we decided to do that, you could go here and take this out and put in just some placeholder like CLR. Now I did that last time, but you could just put anything. You could just put C for that matter. Just put C. And then what you could do is say, okay, when we draw the sign, we're going to plug in C. This is called a parameter. So that means, whatever you send down here as an argument goes through C and then plugs it in here. See this function saying, okay, we have a placeholder C. Whoever has C is going to get the value that I send you. Now, what value is going to be sent? Well, it's going to be whichever one I put down here. So if I go down here and say I'm going to make it purple, then that purple, when it gets called, will get sent. And this function definition will use that and say, hey, in place of C, throw that in there. So whoever has C, you're getting purple, and this guy will get purple. So that'll change it on the fly. So if we run this right now with an argument, we now have a purple stop sign. If you want to change it to something else, any color, there's all kinds of colors you could use. You could look up HTML colors and find all kinds of names. If you wanted to make it orange, you just go down here and change it. You put it in an argument. So argument is like the actual value that you're sending, and then they just kind of filter it through up here. They're saying, hey, okay, we're not going with a definite color, but we'll send you a color. That's what it kind of means. It's like, we'll send you the color on the fly. So then we send it in here, and there it is. And even if you wanted to go back and do red, you could put red down here. Or make it dark red. I think there's a dark red. Let's try dark red. I think there is a dark red. Let's see this. Oh, there's a dark red. So we can do a dark red. And that looks pretty good. So anyway, that's our stop sign, and that's actually just throwing a little argument in at the end just to review that. Remember, we need a parameter here that holds kind of a placeholder. It could be anything you want to name it. Just keep it short. And we're using it here, and we're plugging in the actual value here when we call the function. Same thing if you wanted to do something with the right stop. If you wanted to change the color that's in here. If you wanted to go in here and say, hey, I want to make it orange. You could go down here and make it orange, except what you'd have to do is find out where the color is, and here's the color, and you'd have to go in here and just white this out and use some kind of placeholder and just put, I'll just put CL this time, and up here I'll use CL. I don't want to use the same one as the other one, even though actually, let's see something. If I use the same one, because it's part of that function, it shouldn't matter outside the function. So you could even use that again, because this one shouldn't conflict with that one. They should be personal to themselves, so it shouldn't matter. It should be their own little club here when they call it. So this should make orange in the middle and that dark red on the outside. And let's just see what happens. And there's our dark red stop sign, and there's our orange color. So it didn't care that we use that same C. It's not like a variable that we have declared out here. It's kind of a personal, kind of internal thing. So we could use the same internal color in here that we want. It's not going to conflict with the other one. So anyway, and if you want to make it yellow, I'll just do it yellow because yellow might be a little easier to see. And I'll do it one more time. And that's all you have to do. So, and if you do change those arguments, fine. If not, if you just make the white stop sign with the white type and the red and the normal red color, that's fine. But if you want to experiment a little bit with parameters and with arguments down here and sending them in just to get the feel of it, especially if you're going to do any more programming, that's probably good to do. And then when you're done with this, you don't have to hit save. You just have to go here to share and scroll down to the bottom and just copy this link and then go back to my Warren. And then go to coursework and then look for unit 10 and look for turtle stop sign, exercise 12 for fall 2020, and click on it and just add your comment, insert a link, paste your link. Don't forget to do this, new window, that helps. And I'll hit OK, and that's all you need. You just hit save. And you have your exercise turned in. So that's all you need to do. So that was exercise 12, turtle stop sign. That was just a short one. We should have one more kind of bigger exercise to finish off our unit with Python turtles.